Last week, Jurassic World Chaos Fury has finally come to an end, and I have finally gotten around to watching it, even though it was literally just a day late. But like, even then I nearly got some things spoiled for me. God, I hate Twitter. Anyways, yes, hello, this is my brief thoughts on Jurassic World Chaos Fury Season 4. No spoilers. I'm just gonna ramble for a little bit as I expel my thoughts on it. So, do I think Season 4 of Chaos Fury is any good? Do I think it's a fitting conclusion? Do I think it's potentially better than Dominion? Yes. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. It's just yes. Personally, I really liked this season, albeit it's not without its flaws, because this season is very character-led. Like, I saw somebody describe this season as all character, no plot, which they described that as a negative. I think it's a positive here, because yeah, there isn't really any big overarching plot like the previous seasons, but it's like, I don't really think you need that here. Because now we have the answers, now we know who's behind it, now we are here, now we are at final. Personally, I wanted character. I really wanted these characters to have more time to shine. A minor critique I have of the previous seasons is that certain characters do start to feel like that they're starting to get neglected in certain seasons. I have no complaints here. I have zero complaints about characters in this season. Except maybe Sammy and Yaz. I do personally think that their whole thing might have been resolved a bit too quickly for my liking. After watching this season, I don't think anybody or I really have the need to watch Dominion anymore. Because like, Season 4 does cover pretty much all of the same beats as Dominion, except one. There is one beat from Dominion which is missing from the show, but I'll be honest, I don't really think it's that negative because the beat wouldn't really be necessary for the show, because the thing it's missing isn't really featured that much. But besides that one beat, everything is included. All of the pretty buttons that Dominion contains is in the season. I liked Dominion. I didn't mind Dominion. But like, this is so much better! I think what the crew have done here is fantastic. Like following these characters across these two shows, across 9 seasons, across nearly 100 episodes. I think it's extraordinary work that we've done here. And what they have done might just be one of the best things in this franchise. Like, a minor critique I could have is that like, maybe the last quarter gets very repetitive very quickly. However, the repetition of it helps add to the emotions which the scenes are going for. Because like, if that repetition wasn't there, the feeling the audience feels would just be nowhere near as tense. Because during this season, in those last 5 episodes, I have felt things I haven't really felt for a TV show before. Not just a TV show, but like maybe media period. Because I'll fully admit, I have a hard time getting emotionally and personally invested in characters. But following these characters for 9 seasons, by the end, it had me hooked in. I was there. I was gripped by the show and the drama it was going for. There is a bit of drama in there which I didn't really like. But just now, I'm reflecting upon like the other seasons, and I'm going, yeah, that tension makes sense. But the way it's done in the episodes don't really feel that compelling to me personally. But I do believe that tension is resolved rather quickly in the structure of the show. So it's more of a minor critique than anything else. There is a unanswered question from the first season. If you've been watching the Carnivorous Conversations, there's a chance you might know what it is. There is one big unanswered question that the show doesn't really answer at all. and, and yeah, that's really annoying. And another minor and possibly weird critique that I have is how little some things carry over from Camp Cretaceous. Because of course we have Bumpy, and of course we have the characters, and of course we have certain moments and certain themes, and interactions, and dynamics. But like, I'm really surprised by the lack of like, the dinosaurs from Camp Cretaceous. Like, I'm so surprised we didn't get Toro. The only dinosaurs from Camp Cretaceous that appear is Bumpy and Big E.T. in Season 1. And that's it? I'm so surprised the Spinoceratops never came back. Rebel and Angel. They are now the only hybrids in this world. And they're never mentioned again? Possibly that's efforts made by the crew to possibly like slightly ignore season 4 and 5, which I could understand, but I'll be honest, I didn't mind season 4 and 5. But like, even then, there's moments and aspects from those seasons which are carried over into Chaos Fury. With that I understand, because like, people watching this show, there will be some who haven't seen Chaos Fury. Like, I'm pretty sure even the showrunner, Scott Kramer, said that they wrote this season, and maybe the entire show, well, I said maybe, but I mean like, probably, with the intention of just watching it on its own. Like, you don't have to watch the movies, and possibly you don't have to watch Camp Cretaceous. But I don't really think you'd get the most out of Chaos Fury if you also didn't watch Camp Cretaceous. But at this point, I might just be like pandering to myself, because like, what they do in the show is good on its own, and it shouldn't have to rely upon past material to make itself better. But that's just a minor critique. My biggest critique of the show is, I guess, the ending on its own, because like, it doesn't really feel conclusive. Writing-wise, it's conclusive. It wraps up everything except that one unanswered question. But there was something about that ending which was missing. Like, the ending that's coming to mind to me is like the ending of Amphibia, where they have that fantastic ending montage of this fantastic piece of music playing over the environments of the previous seasons. And like, that feels great, that feels conclusive, that feels emotional. Chaos Fury didn't really have anything like that. Like, if we had a montage like that for Chaos Fury and Camp Cretaceous, just all mushed together, I would have cried. Like, no joke, I would have. Like, I nearly cried in this season. A part of me is thinking, is that like, maybe the reason why the ending feels a bit less conclusive like that is because maybe they're keeping it open to like a third show, because Scott Kramer, the showrunner, has said that he does have a idea for a potential third show, but he is unsure if he will be able to do it because apparently the streamer isn't quite happy with the numbers. Like, I'll be honest, I would be more than happy with this ending here. Like, I think this ending is really good. A part of me thinking is like, maybe it's the music? Because like, just thinking of it now, it's building a good send-off cinematically, with the shots that are chosen, with the dialogue, and with the acting. So it's like, maybe it's the music. Yeah, because I do believe it does just like slam into the credits, with just like a picture in the background and like a jovial piece of music. Maybe it would have resonated with me a lot more if like the ending music was like more somber, like more like a sad goodbye. I could see why people would have critiques about how this season treats certain dinosaurs, but I'll be honest, I'm not bothered by it that much. But there is one appearance in this season which made me transform into a caveman. It's only in this for like a few shots. But when it appeared, I became a soy jack. Like, I was actually pointing at the screen and making inhuman noises, which frightened my dog. The appearance of one dinosaur made me transform into Grug. I don't know if this is my favorite season. I'm unsure my favorite season of any of the shows. I don't know. That really is something that I'm going to have to ponder on. It's like, yeah, with the end of the season, it's the end of an era. Damn, it's actually over. And now on to Prehistoric Planet, the Ice Age. Dawn of the Dinosaurs. The meltdown. Anyways, yes, I literally just finished watching it like a few hours ago. And what do I think of it? I think it's good. I think it's very good. I'll be honest, I think it's better than the previous seasons of Prehistoric Planet. Big reason for that is because it feels like the segments are longer. It feels like there are less creatures to follow. However, these creatures have more prominent screen time, which I prefer because, like, I actually get to have time with these animals. That they don't just show up on screen and then disappear. And yeah, the effects are fantastic. Even though there are a few shots here and there which I go, that's not as good as the rest. It still looks great. But I will say, I do think people are overhyping it where they say it's photoreal. Like, yeah, on its own, when the creatures are isolated, a lot of the time they look real. They look fantastic. However, when they're actually put in sequence with a real animal, or in the same shot as a real animal, you can tell. You can very much tell. I feel like they're close, really close, to gaining photoreal. I just don't think they're quite there yet. I don't know, there's something about it where, like, the real animals feel more solid, they feel more tangible than the prehistoric ones. And as for Tom Hiddleston as the new narrator, I don't mind him. I think he's alright. At first, I really liked him. At first, I was questioning if I liked him more than Attenborough. As the show went along, I realized that like, every single line delivery sounds the same. It's all the same muted, monotone narration. Which, yeah, it's narration. That's a part of narration. But it doesn't feel as alive as it could be. But I am thinking about it. Maybe a big reason why I was entranced a lot more by this season is because, I'll be fully honest, I don't know a lot about Cenozoic animals. My autistic hyperfixation is in the Cenozoic. It's around dinosaurs. While I do love animals of this time period, I don't know anywhere near as much. Like, I didn't know Doedicurus was massive. I presumed Doedicurus was the size of like a dog. I didn't know it was as big as a car, albeit a small car. But yeah, this might enter another issue that I have with this season. Or maybe just the concept of like Prehistoric Planet in general. Which is that it's really hard to gain a sense of scale for this. Because instinctively, within our heads, we know roughly how big a human is. And when we see that paired up to an animal, we can go, oh, that animal is huge. Oh, that animal's tiny. But it's like, in this show, where we don't really have that context, it does become harder to appreciate how big these creatures are. Like what I said with Doedicurus. This is why, like, probably my favourite part of the season is the little epilogue of episode 4, I think. Yeah, episode 4. Where they do this thing where they bring animals of the show into modern environments. And we see how big they are. And yeah, it's fantastic. It looks great. I loved it. Honestly, my favourite part of the entire show. It kind of makes me want an entire show like this. I don't know, Apple TV is already making the modern day Walking with Dinosaurs. Why not make the modern day Primeval? But a nitpick is that, like, at the very end of this epilogue in episode 4, it kinda has a spoiler for like, the ending of episode 5. And for me personally, the moment became a lot less impactful because I saw it in the little science talk of episode 4. Okay, now I'm really going to become nitpicky. This season perpetuates a problem that I've had with the entire show, which is that the protagonists of the segments always succeed. Like, in this season, the protagonist only fails twice. Twice! Out of every segment in every episode, the protagonists only fail twice. This show very much feels like it wants to have a happy ending all the time. But it's like, unfortunately, that's just not nature. The thing that is coming to mind is a segment from Planet Earth, or Planet Earth 2, I forget which one. I'm not going to show a clip because it's really sad. But it's a sequence which is built around... I forget what they actually were, but it was like walruses, I think, where they were trying to get somewhere. But the danger of the scene is that they kept on falling off a cliff and dying. It was really mean, it was really sad. But that is nature. But I feel like if something like that tried to happen in like in Prehistoric Planet, like 1 or 2 creatures would fall down, and for a split second we would think that the protagonist dinosaur falls down, only to be revealed that, oh no, they're actually okay. Because personally, that made more of a show kinda boring. Because if I know that the creatures are going to succeed, why am I invested? Why should I be invested? If they showed more creatures failing, I would be more invested, because I would be going, oh, are they going to succeed? Are they going to? But meanwhile, every time I was like, oh yeah, they're going to succeed. They're going to be okay. But that then did lead me to think, okay, why is this show the exception? Because of course, I've watched other media. I've rewatched media, and I've known that the main characters aren't going to die, but I still find myself invested. So I do question to myself, why? Why aren't I invested in these animals' success if I already know that they're going to succeed? I think about it, and I think it's because of 2 reasons. A, even though I do think the sequences are longer, I still don't think it's enough time for us to really get connected to them. And I don't think the actual chases, the actual filmmaking and editing of the music is really there to bring to life my suspension of disbelief. Like, for example, over the last few days, I've been rewatching Stranger Things for the new season. Even though I know the main characters aren't going to die, I still find myself being invested because of the performances, because of the camera, because of the editing, because of the music, because of the lighting. But like here, I'm sorry, but I simply don't think the filmmaking is strong enough. Which makes sense because it's a documentary, it's trying to be realistic. But it's like, but now, in this realm that we're in now, you have to bring the animals back to life. The animals can do whatever you want. So now the crew has to make the choices on whether if something is happy or sad. Instead of just filming what's happening and then editing around it. Now you have to make the footage instead of having to film it. It's such a shame because this season right here really does feel like it's going in the right direction. Like, if they got a new composer, because I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of my suspension of disbelief issues would be resolved if they had a more active score. I think this is a step in the right direction. I really like this. But this was just dumped onto Apple TV. Like, on a random Wednesday. Why? Why was this just randomly dumped out? This is good. I really like this. I want more of this. But we're most likely not going to get that because it's just been dumped. We just got our first trailer like a month ago, I think. I'll be honest, I didn't really know this was coming out around now until like a week ago. I didn't realize how close it was. And even then, they're dumping this on streaming the day before the new season of Stranger Things comes out, which is going to dominate the pop cultural conversation. This show never stood a chance. It got dumped out all at once. It didn't have any marketing behind it, but I'll be honest, I don't just blame the marketing, because I think that's like the poor man's excuse as to why things don't do well. They're just dumping it the day before the final season of the biggest streaming show of all time comes out. What were they thinking? Because it really does feel like that they just did not care for this, and they just wanted it gone. Which is such a shame, because there's so much artistry going into this. And in the age of like AI and horrible educational content on the internet, I think stuff like Prehistoric Planet is needed. But no, it's just being abandoned to fend for itself, which is such a shame. It really is, because I really like the show and I want more of it. Even though I'm not gonna lie, in my mind, like conceptually, I would have preferred it if like Prehistoric Planet, like in general, took more of an influence from like Walking with Dinosaurs. Like the way it was formatted, to where every episode has a small cast, so we can say, oh, this is the T-Rex episode, this is the Diplodocus episode. So we can have time to get to know these animals and get connected to them emotionally, so we can care about them. Which is something I really think this show is lacking when they're taking more influence from Planet Earth, to where they show loads of animals within the same episode. Because yeah, it's cool, it's really cool, but less is more, you know? And even just as it is, I like the show, I like how it is. But despite all my nitpicking, I really like the show, because I'm me. I'm going to nitpick it. I want more of the Cenozoic era. I want to see what animals here I don't know about lived. I wanted to see the Jurassic era. I want to see the Triassic. I want to see a Spinosaurus in style. But we are unlikely to get anything after this, because this is unfortunately just seems to be dropped and without any care. But nonetheless, I think the crew have done a fantastic job on this show and this season, and I wish them nothing but the best. Just hopefully next time we'll have a stronger sense of scale. So just toss Nigel Marvin in there. Just toss him to the mammoths. So yeah, that was both Prehistoric Planet and Chaos Theory Season 5. Both great shows. But I'm not gonna lie, I might prefer Chaos Theory, because personally, I'm always going to choose like the gripping fictional show over the laid-back documentary, because I personally prefer fictional shows and movies over documentaries. But that's just me. There's no need to compare these shows. These are both fantastic shows, and they both deserve to be watched, in which hopefully we'll get more of both in the future. So yeah, that's really all I had to say. So now, excuse me, I am going to watch both of these shows again, so I'll become the sole reason that we'll get a Prehistoric Planet Season 4.